Hello, everybody. I am ILAN GEVA. I'm talking to you from Chicago in the United States because of these very strange times. We have to share everything on Zoom, but I want to feel that I'm close to you, and hopefully we will have a chance to discuss my presentation later. And with that, I will start by saying that I've been in the business for many, many years, and specifically in medical tourism for at least 12 or 13 years. And I traveled at least to 60 countries, learned a lot, and I'm teaching a lot as well. I will talk today about one aspect that many people ask me questions all the time, and that is how to build a brand for a country that wants to join the circle of all the countries that are selling medical tourism services. So let me start by saying this. I'm sure that many of you understand that the logo is not the brand, because the brand has so much more to offer than just the logo. The logo is indeed only the tip of the iceberg. A brand is basically what people think of you. Whatever people have experience with you, your brand, your services, your people, that's what they think about you. And branding is the process of managing the brand. And that is a very, very complicated process. This is a process that people have to learn, people have to appreciate, and they have to dedicate time and budgets and commitment to do it and to do it properly. Brands are made of long-term memories and experiences, as well as short-term memories and experiences. An example could be that, when people are coming to a place again and again and again because they love it, they have long-term memories, their families live there, then they carry the image of that brand for life. A short-term memory could be one experience in one restaurant, one airline, or one hospital. The destination brands are made of the same thing, the long-term memories and the short-term memories, which are accumulating in people's minds for many, many years. And based on those memories, they are acting. Not because of advertising necessarily, but because of experience in the past. Now, every country comes up with a logo. We know that. I mean, if you look at this collection, to me, it looks like, one day the teacher went into the kindergarten and she gave all the students 5 colored pencils. And she said, please draw a logo of a country in your imagination. And that's what came out. So as you can see, every country is using the same basic colors. Every country is using the sea, the sun, the sand, this, but so what? Really? What is the whole purpose of that? This is the image and the logo of the world today in medical tourism. So I don't care what logo you develop for your country or your hospital. This is a long-term memory that everybody is carrying with him or her today, not only in your country, all over the world. And there is no escape from that. On the other hand, we know, all of us around the world, we know this logo, and that logo was created for $35, believe it or not, which means that if you don't support the logo itself means nothing. It can have a value of $35 or $100,000 that some designers are asking for their logo design, but without the experience, the logo is completely meaningless and useless. On the other hand, some countries, in order to build their brand, they built very memorable and very beautiful advertising campaigns, but those campaigns also went with beautiful colorful, and delightful experiences. Incredible India, in my view, is one of the best advertising campaigns that was ever created to promote tourism to one destination. But again, we have to remember, this is tourism, this is not medical tourism. There is a very, very big difference. And you can see, for example, from this ad that in India, they understand exactly what it means to go through an experience. And they say, which flavor of India would you like to experience? And it's true, because when one goes to India, there are many, many different flavors that you can experience. And many people bring back with them that specific experience, and they continue to tell other people about their adventures in India. Now, what is the very first thing that you think about when I say New York? Well, I'll show you. I love New York. I love New York is, in my mind, the most sophisticated, smart, and durable campaign in a branding of a destination. I don't know of any other destination that was so successful in branding itself. And by the way, this was created many years ago, I think in 1977. In those days, we did not have emojis like we have today. This was the first time that an emoji was used in the advertising language. I Love New York became, since then, a symbol for the whole world, and everybody understands this logo and what it means. However, if I will change it like this, this is meaningless, because nobody sees New York as a center for keeping the environment clean. This is definitely not, it's an oxymoron actually. New York is not the cleanest city in the world. And if you do this, now it's a whole different story. I am not so convinced that people love New York or go to New York just because of the medical services. Now, this is the most ridiculous thing that people do around the world. They copy the strategy of one brand, including all the symbols of that brand, and they adapt it to their own country. Can you believe that Indonesia will do I Love Indonesia based on I Love New York? It doesn't make any sense. Or Tunisia, it's actually ridiculous. So that shows you that people who do not understand branding are just playing with it, but it's not a game. It really is not a game. Now, every destination has assets. Some of them are tangible brand assets. Now, when you think of New York, you can think of the Statue of Liberty, Times Square, many, many other places. Those are the real tangible assets that New York City has to offer. But when you think about the medical profession, New York has many other assets that they can promote and sell, not only to Americans, but definitely to a very wide audience around the world. So the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center is one of the most well-known cancer centers in the world. And because of its reputation, it can combine the destination brand of New York together with the medical brand of New York and propose it to the world at large. Now, what is the first thing you think about when I say Brazil? Yeah, I knew that you would say that. This is it. This is the image of Brazil. Everybody who ever thinks of Brazil thinks of the carnival, samba, and the beautiful girls. And it is really fun to think of Brazil that way. However, there was one very famous doctor who created a whole medical tourism business for Brazil. He actually built the Brazilian brand as a destination to go and do the plastic surgeries that make those girls look so beautiful. So Dr. Ivo Pitanguy was really the ambassador, the brand ambassador of Brazil, and he started the medical tourism industry in that country. He did a great job. Of course, when I say Paris, this is Paris, everybody knows. But are there any famous doctors or famous hospitals that speak to everybody around the world as much as other brands succeeded? That I'm not sure. Of course, France has great doctors and great hospitals, but France doesn't make a big effort to sell its destination as a medical tourism destination to the world. And that's why it doesn't attract so many people in the medical tourism business. But when it comes to tourism, it's one of the top in the world. I'll show you now a series of images, and I'm challenging you to think, where are they coming from? These are the old logos of a very old city in Europe. Okay, so who cares about that? But if I will show you what that image means, this is the city. The city is well known, the brand is well known, not because of its logos, but because of the Game of Thrones. Because the Game of Thrones was shot in Dubrovnik. Dubrovnik is now a well-known global brand. But again, we're talking about tourism. We're talking about spreading the word about a city with a story that is being told on television. And on television, the story has nothing to do with Dubrovnik. Dubrovnik was used only as a stage for filming and nothing else. Of course, it's a wonderful destination, and I would encourage everybody to go to Dubrovnik, but I'm not sure that I will send them to Dubrovnik for first-class medical treatment. So I'm already showing you some levels of branding. There is the country brand, the city brand, the hospital brand, and the doctor brand. And we have to treat all of them. When we're looking at the totality or the holistic brand of a destination, we really have to look at it from all angles. For example, because of COVID, not long ago, Georgia, the country of Georgia, not in the United States, but on the east side of the world, they have declared Georgia a safe destination. And this is the main strategy and the message that they're trying to send to the world about how safe they are. But yesterday, I went online, and on the left side, I checked what is the status of safety in Georgia today. And you can see that the graph is going up suddenly. From having almost no cases of COVID, suddenly it goes up with multiple cases of COVID, and suddenly Georgia is not safe. So playing on a strategy that says, come to me because I'm safe in today's environment is not a smart strategy, because it can change overnight. So it's like playing Russian roulette, basically, right? Now, there are some well-established statistics and information about certain portions of the medical travel and the wellness business around the world. So if you look at the list here, these are considered to be the top 10 best wellness retreats around the world. And if you will look carefully at the list, you will see that some of these places you never heard of. How many of you have been to Oman? How many of you have been to St. Lucia? How many of you have been to Mauritius? Those are not big global brands, but what they do, and they do very well, they build from the inside. They make sure that certain establishments in the wellness business are doing everything they need to do to become a great brand that people remember for a long time, and then they put it in the right place in terms of global ranking. So suddenly, the best place for wellness retreat is in the Philippines. Interesting. Now, this is something that we should really forget. We always have the rankings of the most visited countries in the world. Forget it. This is irrelevant information post-COVID. The world that we knew until 2019 is completely changing from this year forward. So all the lists, don't look at the countries that are most visited because they are not visited at all at this point. So these lists are becoming useless. What we do have in our long-term memory, and this is everybody around the world, is where COVID is really dangerous for people to be. And this is the current map that I pulled off Google the other day, just to see where are the centers, the focal points of COVID today around the world. So it is almost difficult, impossible for destinations to build a brand today and say to people, come to us. There are very few places around the world that are safe and people can travel there because number one, there is no travel as there used to be. And number two, you may have to go and quarantine yourself for 14 days, depending where you're coming from and where you're going to. And this map keeps changing all the time, but it sits on the mind of everybody who is in our business today. Now, who are the biggest influencers on brands, on the brand image? Of course, we have, the media. We can say the media as a general term. We can say the media, whether it's printed media, online media, but we also have these people, the politicians. The politicians are influencing our destination brands in a very, very big way. Some of them are doing a great job, absolutely great job. Some of them are not doing a great job at all. And I'm happy to say that at least here in the US, the person who was creating the biggest damage for tourism is finally going away. Now, there are other images that are stuck, and I'm talking about long-term memories, other images that are stuck in people's mind, and until not long ago, Greece, for example, was in real financial trouble. People remember those images, and those images influence both the general tourism as well as the medical tourism. So whether we like it or not, there are certain images that are getting stuck in people's mind, and what we have to do is consider them and think strategically, what can we do in order to face reality? What we can do in order to calm people's minds and tell them, don't worry, it may have been the correct image 3 months ago, 6 months ago, or 2 years ago, but here is what we are doing today in order to change the situation on the ground. For those of you who still remember the good old days of the Beatles were the biggest ambassador for the UK. The whole world looked at the UK, and I can tell you that there was a whole generation of rock and roll bands, from the Beatles to the Rolling Stones to many others, that they created a very positive image for the UK, but it's gone. This is a very distant memory. Today, the image of the UK is very different. Those are recent, current, and relevant memories that people have, so they look at the UK in a completely different way. That obviously influences the UK's status as a brand. So to summarize a couple of things that I showed you, brands must be authentic, holistic experiences, meaning everything you experience in that destination must be going in one direction and must deliver similar messages. It has to be grounded in internal convictions and consistently demonstrated to both internal and external audiences through accurate, compelling representations of all that you are, do, and say. And remember, the world today with technology is so fast that everything that you are, do, and say is transparent to everybody 24/7. There is no escape. Now, your brands are not your logo or your marketing campaign or packaging or slogan, tagline, graphics. No, this is just a tiny part of what you want to represent your destination as. But the logo itself is, as I said before, it's a little drawing of a 5-year-old in the kindergarten. It means nothing. Do we trust your brand? So I'm not going to really tire you through most of these statistics, but there are some ways to measure trust. And trust is a very, very important component. So look at this. There are many attributes to building trust. Now let's talk about the most important ones. The integrity of your brand. Do people really believe in what you say? What is the engagement of your brand with your target audience? What kind of products and services are you offering? Are they reliable? Are they trustworthy? What kind of purpose do you have? For example, do you have any good intentions like preserving the environment? What kind of operations do you have? Are they really efficient? Are they responsive? So these are really just main points, but you can learn more and more about the trust attributes of brands. Who are the influencers? Very interesting. Politicians are not influencers to the same level that, for example, academians are. People believe professors much more than they believe CEOs and prime ministers. So you have to think about that as well. Content creators. Who are the people that really create the content, especially in social media? Friends and family experts are the most trusted. In other words, word of mouth from people who've been there, saw it, experienced it. People trust them much more than a spokesperson who speaks on behalf of the Minister of Health. Trust in business innovation. So we talk a lot about innovation, and you know, there are certain countries, definitely in Europe, some countries that are dedicating everything to innovation. But the question is, does the whole country being looked at and perceived as an innovative destination? And the answer in many cases is no. The innovation is coming only from very, very few places, but the country as a whole is still being looked at as a country that is stuck in the past with old habits, old ways of serving people, old attitudes, and on and on and on. And that doesn't go well with innovation. This is a personal map. It shows you the places that I've been visiting in the world. And I traveled a lot. So I took a lot of experiences with me, and I'm implementing from my experiences what I learned. So for example, in order to build a successful brand, you have to always think, which one of these people think that I am wonderful? Because if they don't, you are less than wonderful. That's already not good. You have to be always a 5-star performer, not 3, not 4, 5-star. Which one of these people think that you are the best ever? So that they go back to their country and they say, I've been to that country And that was the best experience I ever had in my life. So that's how you have to think. You have to create that experience for your visitors. Which one of these people think you are human? Because, you know, if you come to certain places that speaks to you, they speak to you like a robot, and they are proud of only technology, and they neglect the human side, we are missing something. Just like now, we are using technology to communicate, but you cannot talk to me. I cannot see you. I cannot touch you. I cannot tell you secrets because I'm not close to you. So that's one of the biggest minuses of technology. And then finally, which one of these people think that you are competent, that you actually know what you're talking about, that you actually know what you're doing? And you have to be competent by proving it, not by talking about it, but you have to create competence by actions. So here's a little example of what I'm doing with my clients when I build a destination brand. First of all, I insist in talking to the CEO or the head of the organization and get their commitment for a long process. You know, building a brand doesn't take 2 weeks, it takes years. So I have to perform a very comprehensive brand audit. I put major emphasis on lifestyle and consumer behavior. So I interview and I involve all the stakeholders of the organization: employees, customers, vendors, suppliers, ex-employees, investors. I want to listen exactly to what they think and what they say about their experiences with the brand. I conduct workshops. I do mystery shopping, SWOT analysis. You know, doing a mystery shopper trip is one of the best things in my life because I walk into hospitals and pretend that I'm a patient, and then I'm judging them by what they do with me. I collect measurements, impressions, and observations. This is the best part of the research process that I conduct because I have to see myself. Not always one can believe in what other people tell you because maybe their memory is not that sharp or they don't have the vocabulary to express their experience. So I want to do it myself. I present brand vision, mission, brand strategy, and brand positioning to the organization. Then I recommend the marketing methods. I don't start with marketing first. Only after I do this, I can recommend what to do next. Then I analyze the brand destinations as a product. Is it unique? Is it different? What are the attributes? What are the qualities? And what is the value proposition for people who come to visit? Then I do the destination asset strength and the brand reputation. Then I look at the organization, whether it's a hospital, city, or country. Is it trustworthy? Is it really an innovative destination? Is it a sophisticated destination? Then I look at the whole thing as a personality, as if it was a human being. Is it genuine, energetic, fun, isolated? So I'm giving it human attributes and I'm looking to see which one of them is really appropriate for that destination. Then comes the marketing part and I'm looking for metaphors. I'm looking for symbols, for words, for heritage, for images, for music. Finally, the value proposition. What are the functional benefits, the emotional benefits, and the self-expressive benefits that a destination can give me? What kind of experiences I may feel while I am there? What can I expect from the destination? Now, a medical brand destination will fail, and I'm giving you a list here which is under any circumstances, whether it's COVID or not, Nobody will succeed if the airlift is mediocre and not frequent. The airport is not a good one, and I know many airports that I really don't want to visit again. The passport control is slow and unaccommodating, meaning you can get stuck in passport control even if you have a medical condition. The ground transportation is scarce and not regulated and uncivilized. The hospital and hospitality services are just mediocre. They're not first class. The food is only local, and the people only speak the local language, which is a big, big barrier for accommodating people and being a good host and welcoming them. And you have a separate brand strategy for healthcare services, wellness tourism, lifestyle, retirement, hospital, hotels, city tourism, state tourism, and other stakeholders. And they disagree on everything. In other words, the politicians from City Hall and the politicians from the government are actually not agreeing on how the brand should look and how the brand should talk. And they just argue and they don't agree. And you see the argument out in the open. That's not good. I've seen it in many countries. Only the countries that have managed to control all the government, all the politicians, and get a cooperation between the public and the private sector, only those destinations succeeded. Finally, your destination will fail if the country didn't take care of all the safety measures to protect its citizens as well as the visitors. I look today and I see that there are many, many investments in airports, hospitals, wherever there is a touch point of human beings with other human beings or locations. But some destinations have done more than others. And slowly but surely, we learn which are the safer destinations from others that are not safe yet. This concludes my presentation. I really hope that it helps you. And if you have any questions, I am more than open and I welcome all your questions. And I thank you very much. Take care.